I'm going to show you how to make an easy blueberry cheesecake. You don't even have to turn on the oven. We're going to start with the crust, and I like to use oats. A lot of crusts traditionally have date nut combinations, which is great, but there's already so many nuts in the filling. I like to go a little bit lighter with the crust. Plus, the oats kind of remind me more of a traditional graham cracker crust, which is what was on cheesecakes, at least when I was little. And I've also got my cinnamon and pure vanilla bean powder. And I'm going to place that in my food processor that is dry, fitted with the S-blade, and I'm just going to process it until it's kind of like a breadcrumb consistency. It doesn't have to go into oat flour. Of course, if you already have oat flour on hand, you can certainly use that, but I think it's a lot cheaper just to have the oats. I like the toothsomeness of keeping a little bit intact, so I don't grind it all the way into a flour. And then I have my pitted dates. I tend to use the Deglet Noir more than the Medjool. One, because they're a lot cheaper. They have great prices at places like Costco, but they're a little bit drier. The Medjool dates, when you're not cooking something, can be very sticky. Whatever you use, just make sure they're pitted. And now I'm going to process this and let the food processor run until it starts to slow down and a ball almost forms. So my food processor is the Breville. I always say get the biggest and best you can afford, and how long it will take will depend on your food processor. There's a little stopwatch on this, and it took exactly 1 minute and 37 seconds. The way I know it's done is not only does it start to slow down considerably, but if I grab a little bit of the dough, I can easily roll it into a ball. Actually, you can eat this. This is my snickerdoodle recipe. But can you break it in half without it crumbling? If the answer is yes, it's ready. And so now I'm just going to put this on the bottom of a cheesecake pan. A cheesecake pan can be glass, it can be silicone or metal. It has removable sides, and it just makes it easy. And then I'm going to press down the crust. And this is a crust you can use for pretty much any pie, especially ones that are unbaked. And it's delicious because it actually tastes like a cookie, whereas a lot of pie crusts, you know, on a traditional pie, it's like, I don't know, remember we did it in home economics in 7th grade. It was, remember we had to use ice cubes, so I think it was like Crisco and white flour and salt, and it didn't taste very good, in my opinion. But the crust might even be the best part of this. So we're just going to press this down evenly. This is an 8-inch cheesecake pan, but you can get these at many stores, such as I've even seen them at Michael's. I've seen them at Walmart. Of course, you can get them online. 8-inch seems to be the perfect size for this. You can get cheesecake pans with removable sides in different shapes. I once had a heart-shaped one for Valentine's Day. I have a gigantic rectangular one. So we're just pressing that down. We'll put this aside as we make the filling. So for the filling, we're going to start with some raw, unsalted cashews, and I am going to process these. You can go all the way to a butter if you like. It really just depends how much time you have, but as long as they're ground pretty finely, it should be fine. That was 2 minutes on my food processor, and it's not quite a nut butter, and that's okay, but you can see that it's very nicely ground, and it will be just fine because I'm going to add some more of my ingredients, including my non-dairy milk. It's unsweetened almond milk, my lemon juice. I like it a little bit lemony, but if you don't, you can always cut that in half. And I'm going to process this again. You can see how smooth and creamy it is, even though I didn't go all the way to a nut butter. And then I'm going to add my date paste. I almost always have date paste on hand, but I ran out and I wanted to make this recipe, so I'm using I Love Date Lady date paste, which is just fine. It's literally just dates. So I'm just going to put that in my food processor. You could eat this. It's just dates. And then my blueberries. I like to use the wild blueberries. These are organic and these are frozen. They've been defrosted. I just like the little ones better. They're also more nutritious, but I buy them in bulk. And now I'm going to process again. Just want to scrape down the sides. You know, in the time it takes to make this cheesecake, that's about how long my oven takes to preheat. And I don't like using my oven because it makes my place really hot. So we'll just process again. I just love this because purple's my favorite color, and it's just such a beautiful color. And it's really easy to make. I serve this a lot at my game parties that I try to have every month, where we play all kinds of fun games like Taboo, Balderdash. Look how beautiful that is. And there's no dairy or refined sugar. So we're just going to pour that over the top. The little bit that's left on the blade, we're going to easily get off the blade by simply putting the top back on, giving it a quick pulse. Now our blade is completely clean, and we can get the last bit of filling into our pan. This is an 8-inch cheesecake pan, but a 9-inch would also work. Wouldn't want to go any bigger or smaller. It smells really good. Okay. I like to take this tool called an offset spatula. It's just a little bit easier than using a regular spatula or a knife to smooth out the top. We're going to have to place this in the freezer probably for at least 4 hours, probably longer. And you want to keep it in the freezer. What I do is after it's frozen, I cut it, and then I keep those pieces, individual pieces, for when anybody wants one. And so what I like to do is just sprinkle the top with a little bit of unsweetened coconut. I'm using a reduced fat brand. I find it in stores like Whole Foods, Sprouts, or online. You could probably decorate it with fresh blueberries too, if you like. Just get it all over. I'm going to stick this in the freezer, but I'm going to show you what it looks like when it's done because I already have a piece. So this is what a piece looks like. You can get at least 12, if not 16 slices out of these. And I cut them and then I just keep them in the freezer in a Ziploc bag, unless I'm serving it at a party, of course. But my husband loves this and he can just take out a piece every night. I hope you'll try this healthy, easy to make, no bake blueberry cheesecake.